Kind of recap that trip. Obviously, ended on a disappointing note, but the trip overall, 2 out of 3, as we kind of lead in here to a Battle of I-10 round 2 here on Tuesday night.
Didn't know what to expect going over there basketball-wise. We were coming off a tough loss at home by 1 point. Was glad that we were able to win the first 2 games, especially the South Florida game. That was our best game of the year. We certainly didn't play perfect for 40 minutes, but we had longer stretches than we had in previous games up until that point. And then we started off against George Mason excited and playing, really good basketball. Got our scout into the game. Guys were moving, sharing the ball, making shots. And then at halftime we talked about, these guys being a good basketball team, and they were going to fight back, and they certainly did, and they punched us in the mouth pretty good to start the game. And just disappointed that we felt like we played not to lose. We stopped being aggressive as the game progressed, and when it got tight, they made the plays and we didn't, and it was disappointing. We had a chance to win a championship. It would have been a great momentum booster for this team at this point in the season, but unfortunately, we certainly ended the basketball portion of it on a sour note.
Did you learn a lot about your team last week?
Time will tell. When people ask me that, I'm always like, I don't know yet, because we'll have to see how we play the next few games, and then I'll be able to give you an educated answer. I hope so. I know we got better. We've gotten better recently, just from the videotape. We're doing things more to our staff's liking. We've got a lot of areas of concern right now. But hopefully, after the next couple of games, when someone asks me that, if that tournament made us better, the answer will be yes, but time will tell.
Injury-wise, are you getting a little bit healthier? Are you getting anybody back that maybe was out, or is it about the same as it's been?
That's about the same as it's been. Wilford's out for the year. Clayton and AJ won't be back until conference season rolls around. So we're in the same boat that we have been.
Coach, after the game against South Florida, you said that the team started to look and feel familiar. Will we be able to see that on Tuesday?
We better. It'll be a long night for the Aggies if we don't. But, we talked at length about that following the game, because we had talked a lot prior in practice, video, post-game, that we just felt like it wasn't the same frenetic energy, just the same want to, if you will, and we couldn't put our finger on it, but for whatever reason, we felt like over there were certainly some segments, some longer than others, that it felt the same in terms of our tenacity on defense and our willingness to share the ball and have more pace offensively and all the things that we talk and work on a daily basis. So that was good. It felt more familiar. But then in the end, like I said earlier, that last 10, 12 minutes of the George Mason game, we won those games last year. We found a way to win those games, and we just toughed it out. Their coach made a comment post-game that I eventually heard, that they felt this game was going to be about toughness. And his comments were in the first half that NMSU was definitely the tougher team, but in the second half they were. And I couldn't agree more. And certainly the second half is when it counts the most. And that was unfortunate.
A week like this, obviously a rivalry game at home and then a trip to a Power 5 school. Is this kind of a week that can, if you do succeed, is this kind of a week that can get that momentum rolling in the way you guys want it to?
Yeah, we've had chances to do that. We felt like if we could beat UNM at home, heading to the Caymans, that would be a big confidence boost, a potential momentum changer. And then at the same time, we felt like if we could win a championship out in the Caymans, that would be a possible momentum changer. And we just haven't been able to capitalize when we had those opportunities. But, a big week, I felt like with our schedule, we're saying that every Monday, with who we have on the schedule, there's just no breaks. There's just been no breaks. And as a competitor, I love it. And I hopefully our guys do too, because when you're playing meaningful games, it's fun. It's more fun. It's a challenge, and there are opportunities, and we just haven't cashed in on the opportunities like we have in the past. And this week is no different. You know, we got a big game tomorrow, and then it doesn't let up. You know, we get on a plane, and our next 3 games are on the road against, you know, a Power 5 team, another rival team down the road. So the schedule is relentless. But, again, I'm not complaining. We put it together, and I think eventually, you know, we're going to be better because of it.
What did Jabari show you last week, Coach?
You know, he showed me that he can make plays in the meat of the game. You know, he earned some trust from us in terms of being out there when it counts. He ended, you know, some games recently when it was close, and I'm not sure if I would have necessarily done that earlier, because all of his better performances were when the score was in doubt or against inferior competition. But he stepped up his game, and certainly he's a work in progress like our team is, but he did a lot of good things recently, and hopefully he'll continue to do that.
Personnel standpoint for UTEP, Caden Archie, you know, what does he add? You know, they bring him on. He's eligible right now. What have you seen from him on tape, and how do they change the dimensionality of their team headed into Tuesday?
It certainly adds you know, another weapon to their arsenal. I'm sure they're elated with the additional depth, and, you know, just him personally. I mean, the biggest thing is just his size at his position. You know, he's a big guard. That's another defender. He can make plays off the bounce. You know, he's an aggressive player, and I'm certain they're excited, you know, like I said, to have him in the fold. And for us, it's just one more guy to the scouting report. You know, it just adds to their depth that they've already shown that they have, and it's another piece that they have to use at their disposal.
Do you think you guys are maybe better equipped, just a few more games under your belt, just to handle their defensive pressure?
I hope so. You know, I'm certain that we've gotten better since that game, but at the same time, I'm sure they have too. I mean, they're undefeated, and they're 5-0, and you know, normally when you're winning, you know, practice is more fun. You have their attention. They're excited. I'm sure that's the case over there. So certainly, I know we've gotten better. How much better? You know, I'm not sure. But at the same time, they have too. It's not like they're sitting over there resting on their laurels and not getting, you know, in the practice facility and working on their weaknesses and trying to strengthen their strengths and add another player to the mix. So, you know, we'll find out. We'll find out. But certainly, we're going to have to be better than we were over there. You know, obviously we've watched that game, you know, since we've played it in preparation for this game, and you know, they were the better basketball team at that point. You know, tomorrow we'll find out, you know, where we're at comparative to where we were when we played them the first time, and we've got to be much better if we want to win the game.
Coach, I know at the end of the day it comes down to execution, but in terms of just momentum, maybe the atmosphere, how much does it make a difference when you're playing over there compared to playing here with your home crowd?
Yeah, it's a big difference. I mean, any coach that tells you differently is not telling you the truth, and it's just, you know, the comforts of being at home. Certainly when it's so close like that, you know, I'm assuming they'll do the same and sleep in their own beds, et cetera, and it won't feel quite the same as a normal road trip where you don't have to travel great lengths to play the game. But, you know, we anticipate a big crowd. We're hopeful that everybody will come out and support this program and these guys, and they rely on it. You know, they feed off it, especially the students. We've had good student crowds thus far. I can't imagine a lot going on a Tuesday night, so we're hopeful that the fans will come out like they have been, and you know, give us that sixth man that we desperately need.
I feel like Terrell, is he getting a little bit more of a rhythm?
He's not shooting the ball very well. He's not producing very well. He knows it. You know, it's the elephant in the room. His numbers. If you'd have told me before the season that after 8 games that those would be Terrell Brown's numbers, you know, I would have called you a liar. I mean, I wouldn't have believed you. No way, no how. But they are. And, you know, all I know how to rectify it is try to, you know, work on his mental state and try to get him some confidence. And we've been doing that. You know, prior to games, I'm like, Terrell, keep shooting the ball. I know how good a player you are. I'm not worried about it. Keep shooting the basketball. And he has. Unfortunately, they're not going in at the rate that we're accustomed to. But, you know, is he 100% healthy? No. It's one of those injuries where it's going to nag him for quite some time. Hopefully, sometime this month, probably later than sooner, he'll feel good every day. But, I can't imagine going to practice every day and just knowing that you're not 100%. It just drags you down. He's not quite in the same mood as he was prior to the injury, and certainly we're trying to help him as coaches, and I know his teammates are as well, but we need him to play better, especially given the injuries that we have. We can't afford another first-team all-league guy not playing up to his capabilities. He doesn't have to exceed, the expectations that we have for him. But it's hard to win when you're down and then, some of your main guys aren't performing, at the level that we need them to. And it's certainly slowed us down.
Coach, you said before you guys went out to the Cayman Islands that 3 games in 3 days was going to be tough, especially with the injury situation that you all have. So what did you see out of the team in terms of how they held up and how much of these 6 days helped in terms of just getting rest?
Okay. I was curious to see how they'd be, especially in the championship game once we got to that position, because, it's the only time all year long where you're going to replicate the conference tournament. And so in the back of my mind, that's where I was most curious of how it would be. 3 games, 3 days. They handled that part pretty well. We had no cramping issues. They drank the required, water and liquids that they needed leading up to the final game. I thought we got plenty of rest. We had no issues with, how they treated themselves and understood how it works when it comes to these type of situations. So that was a positive. But we lost the game in the second half, and that's a negative. Fortunately, we have time to get better and learn from this. But again, we're going to be in a 3-game, 3-deal situation again in March in the Orleans, and we're not going to have another chance to do it other than that one. So we'll certainly lean on that as we go forward and try to learn from the mistakes that we made, and hopefully in March we'll be better in position to win a 3-game deal like that.
Everybody good?
I guess just last question for me, just in terms of controlling Bryson Williams. He had a pretty good game against you guys last time in limited minutes. How do you kind of slow him down and just keep him from doing what he wants to do?
He's had good games against a lot of opponents. He's a heck of a player. It's, do you double team him or not? In the first game we did with minimal success, I would say. It was probably a wash in terms of what they gained and what we gained with double teaming him. So, when it comes down to it, those decisions, how to play ball screens, if you're going to double the post, are probably 2 of the main decisions that every staff makes heading into a game. And, it's a cat and mouse game. During the game you can adjust, et cetera, just like they will. But he's a load. He's a load, and he's a very good player, and he's getting more and more confident. He's coming off a huge game in their last outing, and we'll just see how the game unfolds.